Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're pretty much talking about all things and everything Baby. Now, if you guys have been following the channel for any amount of time, you would know that I am a huge Baby fan. I've played the deck a ton, profiled the deck a lot, written a lot of Patreon articles about it. But the problem was, as events would come closer and closer, I'd be testing the deck a lot. I'd be like, yeah, I'm definitely going to play Baby this time, finally going to do it. And I would always shy away from it towards the end of my testing for whatever event it was. And this deck has been out since what, like set 4, set 5 now, and this has been happening constantly, and there are reasons for that. I'm going to talk about those, and I'm going to talk about where Baby has kind of evolved to now, give you guys an idea where my head is at as it relates to Baby. So before we do get into this video, guys, new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. Want to get involved in the Dragon Ball Super community, make sure to check out the description below. And finally, guys, 3 ways you can help the channel out. Number 1, the Patreon down below, lots of competitive content for you. Number 2, if you would like to join the YouTube channel memberships, that's down below as well. And number 3, guys, if you want to buy any of the cards you see here, make sure to use my link to TCG Player or Beard Collectibles down in the description below. Really appreciate each and every one of you guys does that for me. Let's get into this video. So guys, at the start of it all, this is what Baby looked like back when the draft box leader came out. A lot of the main deck stuff came out earlier in set 4, then eventually we got the power booster that kind of wraps it all together. So just a few things about what really shined about the deck early on. I mean, it was one of the only mono red decks that was really strong back then. Pan was your other one, but if you're looking at like a main deck Chain Zeno, that's all you wanted to do, that was more Pan. But in Baby, you had a lot of different tools, one of which being Revenge Death Ball. Now, interrupt battle effects like Shugesh Kid Goku, very rare up until this point of the game. I mean, now that we have a rival, we have tons and tons of different interruption of battles, but Revenge Death Ball was really unique in that it would minus power, so your opponent could combo whatever they really wanted into a, any type of beater. And if you could drop 1 to 2 Revenge Death Balls on that beater, no matter how much power it had, as long as it had 30k or less, you were gonna KO that battler. Likewise, Height of Mastery was a huge deck in the format that Vegeta Baby was popular in, and I did say that like I would always steer away from Vegeta Baby, but I do want to mention that it does have tops going pretty far back, even back in the mono red days. So I do want to say the deck had merit. The deck did top events. I would just personally shied away from it for reasons we'll talk about in the video. But Revenge Death Ball, really good. Height of Mastery, one of those decks that was really prevalent in that format, and you were able to hold your Awaken as Baby because you could control it by taking life with the Unawakened leader. So you let them Height of Mastery you, drop Victory Strike, whatever the case was, then you could just Awaken when they swing. You could then drop 1, 2, or 3 Revenge Death Balls on them, whatever the case was, and you could pretty much clean up from there. Vegeta Baby actually had one of the best matchups against Height of Mastery, which was one of the best decks in that format. So Vegeta Baby had a really cool thing going for it there. But as far as other plays go, we did have Intensifying Power Trunks into Chain Attack into Burst Attack. That was one of the deck's main forms of aggro, and then later on there were Familial Bond builds experimented with, getting Digging Deep Vegeta to the drop area, then bringing it back with Familial Bonds on turn 2 for a lot of swings. But before that, there was this version of Intensifying Power Trunks into Chain Attack into Burst Attack aggro. Some decks did main Chain Zeno. I chose not to because I always thought that if you wanted to play a Chain Zeno deck, I thought Pan was much better, getting that draw off of the Zeno, and then if you're Awakening and then swinging again, getting another draw. But some people did main deck Chain Zeno, and those builds did see top cut success. But besides that, guys, the combo that everyone plays Baby for is the 1-drop Baby Vengeance Unleashed, unit absorbing into your Sand Strength Baby, going into your Power Booster, and then going into Apocalypse Grudge Grade 8 Baby. You see all those cards on the screen here. Now, of course, this deck was super powerful. I think dropping Apocalypse Grudge Grade 8 Baby is one of the most powerful boss monsters and one of the most powerful things you can do in this game. It's a 30k triple striker, and you constantly get rid of battle cards by swinging with it, or when your opponent plays a guy, it triggers, you give them -20, you draw a card, but on both players' turns. That's crazy sources of advantage. But 2 problems with this, at least back when I was testing this deck for events back then. You had the problem of Apocalypse Grudge Grade 8 Baby getting answered, and you had the problem of consistency. Now, I do think set 8 aimed to answer those problems. That's going to be the next phase of this discussion. So guys, when it comes to power, Baby really does not lack in this department. This is one of the things that really attracted me to the deck earlier on. Like I mentioned before, the Apocalypse Grudge combo as well as the Chain Attack aggro, I thought it was very good. Now we have set 8 come around. We have the introduction of Super Baby 2 Malicious Majesty on top of a lot of other cards. You do have the 7-drop rare baby monkey. You do have Heartfelt Plea, which is very playable in the deck. You do have all those kinds of things, but Super Baby 2 Malicious Majesty is really the boss monster of baby nowadays. You know, besides Apocalyptic Grudge being like your early combo, Malicious Majesty comes in, pretty much cleans up the game. Deflect, Offering, Activate Battle, pitch 3, take a life. Your opponent's battle cards and their leader all get -20, and they cannot activate non-keyword skills for the duration of the game. So when this card comes down, if you resolve the activate battle and you have an adequate number of attackers, this guy pretty much says your opponent is dead unless they have like a Nimbus or a Topo. And that's even just saying if you can't interact with those cards, then they're really in trouble. So again, in my opinion, baby has never really lacked in terms of power. Where I do think it struggled in the past has been consistency. Now, if you remember that red list we just showed you guys, really you had to open a very specific combo. You had to have a 1-drop, you had to have a unit absorb piece for that 1-drop, you had to have the power booster, and you had to have the Apocalyptic Grudge grade 8 baby, which was a 4-card combo you wanted to see by like turn 2, turn 3, ideally by turn 2. That's kind of hard to do. Now, luckily in Dragon Ball Super, we draw a lot in the game inherently, and the leader allows you to take life, so you could get there, but the introduction of set 8 tries to help that consistency problem in a few ways. One of which, Dr. Mew the Mastermind. So if you guys don't know what this guy does, really quickly, if you have a red yellow energy and you don't control this card, you can play it for free from your hand. And if your leader's a yellow baby, when you play it, you can search for a yellow baby 1-drop in your deck and play it. The baby you're gonna grab is Baby Evil Origins. That's a 1-drop yellow baby that says if your leader is a yellow baby and you have a red yellow energy, you're gonna draw 3 cards and discard 2. Now, off the face of it, that sounds like insane consistency because drawing 3 cards deep into your deck, that's nuts. But if you look at it in these 2 ways, I might change your mind on that a little bit. So firstly, you have to open up the Dr. Mew, unsearchable Dr. Mew, and no one's playing the other Dr. Mew that says look at top 3, add a machine mutant. No one's playing it. It's almost like a waste of energy in a lot of cases. But like I said, you have to open this guy. He's not searchable. A lot of times when I'm playing yellow baby, I'm going to hard mull for this guy. I'm going to put my entire hand back no matter what. Hopefully get this guy. But if you don't get him by turn 2, the game is pretty hard to play. Now, if you look at it from the other perspective, the most successful version of yellow baby has been starter baby. There was a lot of hype around main set baby, which has take 2 life, look at top 3, add a machine mutant, add a baby or a brainwashed, but he still doesn't search Dr. Mew, which is a very big problem for that deck. But back to starter baby, he was the most successful version of baby in the top cut, and he doesn't draw any cards on his unawakened side. He takes a life once per turn, but he does not draw cards. So if you compare yellow baby to something like red baby that cannot play the Dr. Mew 1-drop baby combo, over the first 3 turns, red baby can just attack and draw a card. If you compare that to yellow baby that doesn't open Dr. Mew, they're drawing 0 cards. So would you rather get consistent card draw for the first 3 turns with the leader, or would you rather bank on opening Dr. Mew the Mastermind? I honestly don't know the answer to what's better. I've been trying to figure it out myself, kind of just by feeling it out and playtesting. But I almost feel like red baby gives you a little bit more consistency just because you're guaranteed those draws over 3 turns. Next up, the other consistency card, Blutzwave Generator. Auto, when you play this, you cannot play another one for the duration of the turn. Activate main, pay 1 yellow energy to activate it. If your leader's a baby, look at the top 5, add a baby. Then if you did add a card, untap a yellow energy. Now at first, I thought Blutzwave Generator was a trap. It is nothing like Successor of Hope, which is like a mandatory 4 of in any lineage deck, because that's a free search. Blutzwave costs 1, and when you activate it, you cannot activate another one for the duration of that turn. So you can't really spam it like you could spam Successor of Hope. But in my testing recently, my mind has been changed a lot about Blutzwave Generator. This card does truly help the consistency problem that baby has had. I don't think you can play 4 of it because I think you run into the problem of bricking on extra cards, but I do think that adding this card into your deck is not a mistake. So the next thing, guys, I want to show you is where baby has evolved to and the lists that I've been messing around with. So guys, here is what I started testing when set 8 came out with the starter baby leader. I was never a fan of the main set leader. I always just thought it was way too fragile. Even though this leader awakens at 2 life, I do think the awaken ability is bonkers, untap 2, draw 2. And the stuff you're able to play in the main deck, I think, is just a little bit better. Having the untap ability is clutch in certain situations. Now, if you look at the red lineup, of course, we have Dr. Mew. You pray to draw it. I really do hard mull for this. If I don't see it in my opening hand, I put everything back. Topo, one of the nuttiest cards in red, so of course you're playing it. Then we have our Super Baby Parasitic Menace, our Apocal Grudge combo, and Baby Vengeful Blow. One of the problems I did mention to you guys before was the problem of having your Apocal Grudge answered, and in the back in the day, the only protection you had for it was Strategy of Universe 7, and a lot of builds did play it, but again, it runs into the problem of being a clunky extra card where if you have too many of them, you kind of just don't know what to do with them. You don't necessarily want to charge them because you want to use them, but if you get caught in a weird situation, you could just die from it. Vengeful Blow is an amazing card because it's a searchable recovery card. If your Apocal Grudge gets answered, you play this guy, you Unit Absorb, go into another 30k baby. Really solid. 2 Overwhelms just for a little bit of utility. Revenge Final Flash. Now this brings up a point where that makes me not like this deck or this leader. You don't have much meaningful counterplay. Let's say your opponent is playing a Topo. Let's say they're playing a Chompa the Trickster. Whatever counterplay they're playing, or whatever play in general they're playing that you need to interact with, you really can't interact with it outside of Apocal Grudge Grade 8 Baby. Revenge Final Flash is really your only answer to it, but your opponent can easily negate it by pitching an extra card, so it really doesn't mean all that much. I don't want to pay 2 just to get an extra card out of my opponent's hand. I want to pay 2 to stop a play or negate a skill, things like that. So that's one of the main reasons I'm not huge on this list anymore. But moving through the rest of it, Malicious Majesty, the 7-drop Grade 8 Monkey. We have, of course, Baby Evil Origins. And here towards the end, guys, you'll see Pan Grade 8 Whisper, which a lot of baby lists do play. But I personally don't play Heartfelt Plea. I never want to give up my Apocal Grudge Grade 8 Baby combo for that. I would much rather play the heroic SS4 Goku, because a lot of times I'm not awakening till like turn 4 in this deck if my opponent's not being aggressive with me. So I'll gladly play this guy on 3, awaken, and then give him, you know, huge stat buff, and then swing with him, restand him with Pan Grade 8 Whisper, go in that way. Guys, and the side deck stuff you can kind of just ignore. It's just stuff I was working on as a side deck. It's not like solidified or anything like that. But yeah, this is what I was testing for Yellow Baby. But lately, I've pretty much scrapped this version of the deck. For me, the Prayer to Open Dr. Mew isn't worth the headache. I've been liking this version of Baby much, much better. This is what I've been messing around with lately. So we do have our typical red lineup, of course. After Image doesn't seem too important nowadays because you do have Topo, and there's not a lot of little weenies that After Image can pick off for you. So, but I still play it too because it's really, really good. But yeah, we come back to the Unit Absorb engine with the 1-drop Baby and all the rest of our pieces. So that's our main playmaker in this version of the deck. We're not really relying on the Arrival. As you can see, we're only playing 2 copies of the Arrival card, but we'll talk about that as we get through the list. So Denial of Hope being one of the main cards that attracts me to the red Baby leader, it makes me want to play it. That's just something that Yellow Baby doesn't have, and I think, like I said, I think you really want that meaningful counterplay. Because if you're sitting on a Apocal Grudge from turn 2 or from turn 3 and you have 2 open energy to sit on Denial, I think that's one of the strongest board states you can really have. Having that counterplay on top of that huge monkey, I think is really one of the strongest things you can do. Or leaving up 2 energy for Topo, Denial of Hope, Topo, whatever the situation calls for. 3 Sand Strength Baby. I did knock this from 4 to 3 to make room in the deck. I never want to draw this guy, so I think 3 is an okay number just to hope they stay in the deck. You should have at least like 2 in your deck, maybe 1 in your life, but that's the number that I want to see. The rest of the Grade 8 Baby combo, Baby Vengeful Blow, the 1 Mira just to make use of your drop area later in the game. Then we do have the 1 random Super Baby 2 Malicious Majesty. This is from the Magnificent deck if you don't remember it. The only reason I play it is as a main deck answer to Hatchiyak, because when you play him, you get to buff all your babies on the board by 5k, and then you choose your opponent's leader and negate its non-keyword skills for the duration of the turn. Unfortunately, he does not work when if you Unit Absorb into him, but he does work in playing from your hand. And if you have a board established already and you go in against Hatchiyak with this guy, pretty much going to be GG from there. We do only play 2 Arrival Babies. Arrival Baby is not the main play of this deck. As you'll see, we don't have much in the way of yellow combos for Arrival, unless you combo a dual color. The Arrival Baby is more so here for like a late game recovery option. You can Arrival him late game, go back up into your Apocal Grudge combo that way. I would play 3 of him if I wasn't playing the 1 of Malicious Tyrant, but I do like that as a main deck answer to Hatchiyak. Then the rest of the deck, Malicious Majesty. You're either casting him for 5 or you're playing him through Vengeful Blow, which is the main way you're playing him. A lot of times after my, Apocal Grudge is around the board for like 2 to 3 turns, my opponent's getting real low on resources. Eventually they may answer the Apocal Grudge. Then I go into Vengeful Blow. Vengeful Blow lets me go into Super Baby 2 Malicious Majesty. Pretty much good game from there. And finally, guys, the rest of the lineup, we do have the Baby SCR. Not the most overwhelming SCR. I mean, a 5-drop offering is pretty cool. They're usually never going to crit the 3 life, so you will drop their leader to negative 15k most of the time. And if you have an established board, that is really hard for them to come back from unless they have like a Nimbus or a Topo. But luckily in this deck, you do have the Denial of Hope to interact with a Topo. So you could play this guy on 5, then Awaken, keep 2 open for Denial, go in from there. And finally, the yellow lineup. The 3 Bloodwave, I think 3 is pretty much all you can get away with because of it being an extra card. You don't want to clunk on it, but you do want to see it early by like turn 2. 2 Mutaito just for your random stuff like Dark Banisher Fu, Gogeta 7, Height of Mastery, whatever you might randomly see. And the 4 Baby Evil Origins. This is a dead card in the deck essentially because it does not have a skill since your leader is not a yellow baby. But we're pretty much playing him. He is a Bloodwave target and you can unit absorb him with Baby Vengeance Unleashed. So adds a little more consistency. I do actually think this is more consistent than Yellow Baby because instead of opening instead of praying to open the Dr. Mew, you're praying to hit a 1-drop baby in the early turns, and you have you have 4 copies of Red Baby, which you want to see at least 1 of. Then you want to see any other copy of that or Evil Origins. So that's 7 cards you can hope to see. Then you have Bloodwave Generator to fix all those problems. So I do think this is the more consistent version of Baby. This is what I'm testing going forward. Guys, hopefully from this video you got a little bit about deck building, a little bit about how to look at a deck when going into an event, power versus consistency, and hopefully my list of Baby help you think about yours going forward. Let me know what you think about my list down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.